Hello, and welcome to The Critique. Today, we're looking at an investigative piece that uses leaked emails to trace the very deep ties between former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein.
And specifically the favors they exchanged while Barack was in office. This is some really explosive material.
It is. So let's jump right in. The first thing, the piece does a great job of listing the favors, but it really establishes that the Barak family received benefits while missing a huge opportunity.
You mean clarifying what was going back the other way?
Exactly. It needs to show the reciprocal nature of the relationship much earlier.
That's the first thing that struck me too. You see the list, NYU admission for the stepson, medical referrals, all of that.
Right.
But the evidence of what Epstein got in return is it's buried. And there's a real risk there, isn't there? That by focusing only on what the Baraks got, you actually weaken the core of the story.
Well, the most damning piece of evidence is that 2011 request about the girl Tali.
For the elite IDF unit.
For the IDF unit, yes.
And it's just stuck in the middle of the text. It completely dilutes the impact.
It really does.
Look, what if we thought about it just as a straight-up trade? On one side, you have Nimrod, the stepson, getting into NYU.
And getting in fast, like within a month.
A massive favor, a life-changing favor. But then, pages later, you have Epstein asking for Tali to be placed in a specific military unit.
And Barak's daughter replies, "We'll take care of it."
That's the trade. The suggestion here is simple. You have to elevate that reciprocity angle. This isn't just a billionaire being generous. It's a two-way street of influence peddling.
So you're saying, is the connection between the NYU favor and the IDF favor explicit in the emails, or is that something the writing needs to build?
Well, the writing needs to build it. Right now, they feel like two separate things. So you move the Tali story.
You put it right next to the NYU story.
Side by side. You visually, narratively show the trade. It becomes an immediate, almost unavoidable conclusion for the reader.
And then you frame it properly.
You have to. The Tali incident isn't just a favor. It's the potential misuse of state connection. And remember the timing. Epstein was convicted in 2008.
This was 2011.
He's asking the family of a sitting defense minister to influence the military. That's the whole story right there.
Yeah, it changes the narrative completely. From Brock was friends with a rich creep to
Barak's office was an operational asset for a sex offender.
that's a much harder hit.
It is. And to make it land, you have to restructure. Put the get and the give in the same paragraph. Don't make the reader wait for it.
Okay, that brings us right to the second point, which is all about that timeline.
Yes.
The impact of everything really hinges on the timeline. But the connection between a specific favor and Brock's specific public role, it needs to be tighter.
It does. The article states the time frame is 2007 to 2013, which covers his time as defense minister. That's good. But it often separates the favor from the office. A reader might see a date, but do they automatically connect it to his job title at that exact moment? Probably not.
So let's take an example. There's that 2007 letter where Barak asked Epstein for contacts.
Music produced for his son-in-law.
Right. Currently, the draft just says in 2007.
And the suggestion is to be incredibly explicit. You have to map the favor directly to the power status to really heighten that conflict of interest.
So practically, the sentence needs to read something like, at this exact moment, Barak was serving as Minister of Defense.
Making this a direct request from a sitting government official to a foreign financier.
Yes, it completely changes the flavor. It stops being biography and it starts becoming an indictment.
Okay, what about the 2010 party? That's another key moment. The party with Larry Summers, Len Blavat, a whole list of heavy hitters.
A glittering list of names, yeah.
But the key detail isn't just who was there. It's the status of the host versus the guest of honor.
Right.
You have to remind the reader, right in that paragraph, that this celebration happened while Barak was defense minister, and it was hosted by a man who had been convicted of sex offenses just 2 years prior.
So you're not just reporting on a party. You're reporting on the validation of a convict by the state's top security chief.
That's it, exactly. And then there's the 2013 request from Muli Bragg, Barak's brother.
For the private tour, through his role at Tiglit.
Right. We need to be clear. Was Barak still in office? Was he just leaving? How does that change the ethics? The piece needs to spell it out. Don't make the reader go to Wikipedia to check.
So the actionable advice is just go through every single date.
Every date.
And if Barak held a title on that date, that title goes into the same sentence as the favor.
It stops anyone from dismissing this as just, private business. This is the story.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about structure. The third point here is that the current draft treats all family members and all favors with roughly equal weight.
And that just flattens the punch of the whole piece, doesn't it?
It really does. It jumps from like concert invitations to a university admission to apartment logistics.
You're mixing polite social updates with huge career-altering interventions.
And the reader just loses track of what's actually serious. The most damning stuff gets buried under trivial details.
Exactly. So the suggestion is to completely reorganize the evidence, create a flow.
A narrative arc.
A narrative arc from social intimacy to professional benefit and finally to institutional
I really like that idea of escalation. Let's walk through it. So you'd start with...
You start with the social. Put all the emails about Anat inviting Epstein to concerts, Neely arranging the apartments. Put that stuff at the beginning.
Okay, so you're just establishing intimacy, setting the scene.
You're showing they were comfortable, they were intertwined. Then you move up.
To the money.
Right. Escalate to career and financial. That's Ehud Barak, the son-in-law, offering a private concert for producer contacts. That's the NYU acceptance for Nimrod.
This is where you show tangible value being extracted from the relationship.
And then the climax of the piece has to be institutional and political.
The IDF favor.
The IDF favor for Tali and that networking at the 2010 party. That's where you show the personal corruption bleeding into the public sphere.
And I see a suggestion here about using the 2016 medical request as a sort of coda.
I love that. Think about it. That request for a medical consultation, it happened after his political career was over.
But it shows the dependency was still there.
The dependency never stopped. Even after the scandal, after all the bad press, for critical life needs, they still turned to him.
It's a really haunting note to end on.
It is. If you mix it in with the concert tickets, it gets lost. But if you structure it this way, social, financial, political, and then dependency, it's a powerful narrative.
Which leads perfectly into our fourth point, dealing with counterarguments.
The normalization defense. Yeah, this is vital for credibility.
The piece has to address why these interactions might have seemed, normal to the people involved.
Because Barak's defense will be, and has been, that this is just how the global elite network.
And the weakness right now is that the article presents the facts, but it doesn't really explore that defense.
So the idea is to preemptively dismantle it. And the way you do that is by highlighting how intensely personal these favors were.
The emails themselves give you the language for that, right? Like with Nimrod Priel?
Absolutely. He sends that email full of emotions and gratitude after getting into NYU.
You have to quote that directly.
You have to. Use it to show this wasn't some cold transactional thing. That's a family favor. You don't get an emotional outpouring for a routine business connection.
And the son-in-law, Ehud?
That's even more telling. Offering a private concert? I mean, you have to ask the reader, is playing your cello for a financier's standard networking?
Or does it suggest something more subservient?
It feels almost feudal. I will entertain you, my patron. It just strips away the whole peer-to-peer networking defense.
Completely. And then you have the smoking gun, the 2015 email.
The awareness. Barak himself sends Epstein a link about the bad press, about the scandal.
He knew.
He knew. You have to discuss that email. Use it to prove this was conscious disregard. It wasn't ignorance. It wasn't, oh, I had no idea. He knew exactly who he was dealing with, and he stayed in the relationship. That just demolishes the innocent networking defense.
So you focus on the tone, the language, the emotions. You prove this was intimate, not just transactional.
Exact. Don't let the reader think this is just how rich people operate. Show them it's how compromised people operate.
Okay, final point. Let's call this one visualizing the network.
This is about the cast of characters. You have Anat, Neely, Nimrod, Yoed, Muley. All these names can just blur together for a reason.
It's a lot to keep track of, and you can lose the specific role each one played.
And there's a risk there, too. If you just talk about the Barak family as one big unit,
you might overlook the specific vulnerabilities that Epstein was exploiting in each person.
So the suggestion is to create almost distinct character profile. Show how Epstein catered to each family member's specific need.
I like that. So instead of a list of names, you'd frame it as...
You frame it visually. Anat and Yoed are the arts and culture. They need producers, audiences. Epstein is their guy.
Okay. And Nimrod?
Nimrod is the academic, or the next-gen wing. He needs entry into an elite American university. Epstein provides the key.
And then Ehud Barak.
Muley is the administrative link. He's dealing with Taglit, with tours for Russians. He's the logistical arm.
And finally, Neely Priel, Barak's wife.
Neely is the gatekeeper. She manages the apartments, the logistics of the relationship itself, she facilitates access.
I see. So by grouping them this way, you show that Epstein wasn't just a friend of Barak.
He was a concierge for the entire clan's diverse interests.
It makes that web metaphor feel much more literal. It's not a line connecting two men, it's a web woven around an entire family.
Exactly.
So let's just quickly recap the main actionable points for the rewrite.
It really all boils down to structure and context.
First, strengthen the quid pro quo. You have to elevate that reciprocity. The Tali IDF request has to be placed right next to the NYU favor.
Make the trade visible. Don't bury the lead.
Second, contextualize the timelines. Every time a favor happens, explicitly state Barak's title at that moment. He was defense minister when.
Context is everything. It separates private action from public corruption.
Third, the structural hierarchy. Build the narrative from social to financial to institutional. Escalate the evidence.
Start with the cello concert, end with the army unit. That's the arc.
Fourth, address the counterarguments. Use the emotional, subservient language from the emails to dismantle that it was just business defense.
Prove it was personal. The emails give you the proof.
And finally, visualize the network. Group the family members by their specific needs, arts, academy, logistics, to show the total scope of Epstein's infiltration.
It clarifies the story and reveals the strategy. It helps the reader see the forest, not just a bunch of trees.
This is a really robust set of changes. The source material is clearly strong, but the presentation needs to be sharper for this to land with the force it deserves.
I agree. The facts are there, they're damning. It's really just about arranging the furniture so the reader sees the whole room clearly.
To the listener who submitted this, you have the goods. Now structure them for maximum impact. Keep digging.
Keep digging. And don't be afraid to draw those hard lines between the favor and the office. That's where the real story is.
Thank you for listening to The Critique. We look forward to seeing the next drive.
Can't wait.